let's have a look at the solution to the general quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is any value other than 0, of course. And we're going to solve this general quadratic equation by doing what we've been doing before, which is completing the square. But hopefully this time we're going to come up with an equation, an expression that may or may not be familiar to you, but hopefully if you've seen it before, hopefully you'll appreciate the origin of this formula. And it's actually called the quadratic formula. So let's start by doing the whole completing the square on the left-hand side. So let's start off by writing ax squared plus bx. Let's move the plus c over. So that's equal to minus c. Now, of course, we like to complete the square on a monic quadratic. So let's divide everything through by a. So we'll have x squared plus b on ax is equal to negative c on a. So all we've done is just divided everything through by a. Now let's complete the square on the left-hand side. So what's half of b on a? In other words, b over a, divide that by 2, is b on 2a. And we're going to square it, because that's completing the square. So it's sort of what we've been doing before. But what you do to one side, you do to the other, of course. So we're going to add on b over 2a all squared. Now, so it keeps the equation nice and balanced, sort of still valid. Now let's write the left-hand side as a perfect square, of course. So that's going to be x plus b on 2a all squared is equal to negative c on a plus, in fact, I might just write it as b squared on 4a squared. Okay. What we might do next is just combine the two fractions, okay, on the right hand side there. So we're going to multiply top and bottom, this negative c on a, multiply top and bottom by 4a, so we have a common denominator. So multiply that by 4a and multiply that by 4a, so I have 4a squared as the denominator of the first fraction. So let's write this as x plus b on 2a all squared is equal to negative 4ac plus b squared on 4a squared. And what I might do is I'm running out of room here, so I might just flip or just switch these two terms around. So that's b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Now you probably recognize b squared minus 4ac, perhaps, if you've seen the quadratic formula already. Okay, now let's take the square root of both sides. So we're going to do that, and this side here as well, and it's going to be plus or minus, of course. Okay, so we're going to end up with x plus b on 2a is equal to plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over. Now I'm going to split this surd up, okay, this surd of a fraction into a fraction involving surds. So, and of course we can use our rules around surds to do that. Okay, and that's equal to, and again, I don't normally do this, but again, I'm running out of space here, so just bear with me. Okay, so it's going to be plus minus b squared minus 4ac over. Now the square root of 4a squared is just 2a, of course. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to move the b on 2a over to the other side. So x is equal to negative b on 2a, okay, plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And there's a common denominator there, so I'm just going to continue this on another board. Okay, so hopefully you can see that there. Yep. We can combine the two fractions together into a single fraction. So that's going to be negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, and this is the ubiquitous quadratic formula. Okay, so now you can see the origin of it. The origin of it is completing the square, and it's completing the square on the general quadratic formula. In the next video, let's look at an example or two where we use the quadratic formula to solve any manner of quadratic equations.